Hello, world. This is another broadcast of Truth Fire Journal, where we are talking about all things related to the Mojo phenomenon. Today, we have myself, Naji Coach, a level 53 pod layer practitioner, and with me I have.
Adymus, level 24, other practitioner.
Excellent. So today we're going to be getting into chess and comedy, focusing on comedian females a bit in the beginning. But the goal is going to be for me and Adymus to flip these bubbles. I won't spend too much time talking about it because I want to get into it. But this is something new I'm doing where I'm taking each of the people I've been training for a while and we're working certain cases together. And a big part is I'll be training them in how to do mass reads, bubble reads. And so as a way that happens, it's more challenging in that it's the high volume and you're being hit by the trends of the bubble. Besides the fifth gear of like this sample means this or that, overall, there's a story and you have to kind of let your fifth gear get used to that. Upside is if you're really getting into a bubble, your instrument becomes refined, bonus stacked on that attention it's paying there. And while you're hot, while you're warm in that bubble, working with a friend like Adymus, working with things we find interesting, you get very geared up. And those who've been Mojo reading know there's a big difference based on your interest level and energy level. So bubble reading, if done correctly, in fact, you have to do it correctly, you can't do it, but if you do it correctly, you can do some extra kind of maneuvers, such as Adymus and I were talking about, like reading with less media. Can't always do it, and that brings into probably the main thing to focus on is when reading a bubble, you have to focus on the bubble rather than anything individual. So we want to go with low-hanging fruit. And so Adymus and I, say, for example, in comedy, we'll start picking off these comedians that pop easier. And as you do that, you can use that to read samples that are harder because they're just more challenging riff, or they have less media. And you keep leveraging that power, leveraging the bubble. It's really cool. All right, so we are going to go ahead. Boom, 2 minutes in, we're starting with comedy. All right, Adymus, you sent me over some good stuff. I apologize, my voice is a little bit raspy. I'm a little in the weather, but I'm getting better. Okay, so here we go. Screen share. Comedy, bam. All right, can you see that, Adymus?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this basically has all the comedians that we have so far, and it's several thousand. A few thousand. It's one of our largest bubbles, probably right after acting. Okay, but what I put in today, just to get it going, is some new stuff to show my buddy Adymus. So new 01. All right. I don't know if you sent her. Did you send her? Was she one you sent me? Aisling B?
Yes.
Excellent.
Aisling B.
Did I say Aisling?
Or Aisling. I don't know. I've only seen it in writing. I haven't heard her say it. But yeah, I sent her over.
Have you seen her perform?
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
I only saw like 1 or 2 clips of her. She's pretty funny though.
Okay, cool beans. And can you see the elongation interface?
Yeah.
Want to hone in that because the ladies will be seeing quite a lot of both der serves. All right. Next up. You sent him.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Good.
Yeah.
So he needs eye. I thought when I was seeing him in the photos, I saw him with another comedian. Is he with a der serve comedian lady?
By with, do you mean in a relationship with?
Right.
I don't know that.
Okay. I'll type his name in. I'll be able to find it for you real quick. Let's see here. Adam Conover. You're saying?
Oh, just that I discovered him he has a show on True TV, I think, called Adam Ruins Everything, which I highly recommend.
Okay.
It's a hilarious show, but it's actually kind of like a debunking show. Or it's similar to like a dismantling show where like he kind of takes things that people have kind of naive attitude towards and then kind of ruins it for them, but in an informative way, like in a good way. You know, like he'll take voting, for instance, and then kind of just dismantle all the things that are wrong with it, or jobs, and kind of like the hourly or salary systems that we have, and like all the different ways people are being taken advantage of and stuff like that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Ruins everything. Yeah, I want to increase my vlog. I'm trying to, I got a lot of TV shows and movies and different things like that and playlists for music. I want to increase some just general YouTube viewing and comedy. I like comedy a lot. So thanks for the recommendation. Alrighty. Did you see that link I sent over in the chat bar?
Oh, yeah. Ah, okay. I'm not totally familiar with her.
Okay. She's your serve. Let me see what I have down as.
Yeah,
She doesn't look super long. Yeah, I have her down as Z9.
interesting.
So they look real
What's
chummy. So
what's her name?
her name is Emily.
Emily Heller.
Yeah.
Is she a stand-up comic?
I believe so. In fact, she did what I know her from was a like a vlog skit she did where she's like I think we saw it together, like she was pretending to be like a really bad like fortune teller.
Oh, I remember her now. Yeah. Yeah, we did read her. Interesting.
All right, so back to it. We have 14 to drop here in this bubble today. Comedy, bam. All right, so back in, and let's talk about 3. Jenny Johnson. Was she one you sent?
Yeah, those photos, that's not her, though.
That's not her.
That's not her.
Okay, so is there 2 that are like that? Jenny Johnson, but this person is a comedian.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a nice comedian. She got into a Twitter beef, I think, with who's the guy? Chris Brown, the rapper.
Let me post a picture of the one I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you. And there's 2, wasn't there? There's another one that you were saying. I probably don't have the right one because the one you were thinking of was old.
Yeah, the one I'm thinking of, it's some model that came up, but I can't find the actual comedian. View image. Does this picture show? I mean, can you see this picture if I post it in here? It seems a little bit sketch of a link, but
No, I see it. Okay,
okay.
so what's her name? That's her.
Jenny Johnson. Yeah.
Are there 2 photos of her?
2 photos. Yeah, I could find you another one.
Yeah, that's the minimum I need for collaging. If I can collage and we're bubble reading, I think we'll get her eventually. I guess there's two comedians.
This could work.
Named Jenny Johnson.
Yeah, I didn't know the one that you posted was a comedian. I thought she was like a host or something. I just posted another link.
She may be, but I think she's kind of the pokey, comedic kind of host. She likes definitely likes causing trouble. Okay, so this media, just to give you an idea, Adymus, this is a little harder to do, but I think doable later in the bubble. As we get more of it down, I think you and I are going to really get our head around this bubble, and that'll include a lot telling apart der serve lady. She looks der serve to me.
Yeah.
Initial reaction, but I'd like to ponder on it a bit more to try to, and also get some more samples in to really tell apart the elongation. All right, that's doable. Okay, so let me note that. So Jenny Johnson, I need a second Jenny Johnson. All right. Let's see. All right, so we're back in. All right, so in this case, just a little tidbit about her. She's in a Twitter war with Chris Brown. She can get pretty rough. I don't necessarily agree with everything she's saying, but he's an asshole, so I don't really, you know what I mean? It's kind of like good for him.
Feel the need to defend him, yeah.
All right, Claudia O'Doherty, Naiji. Yeah,
Interesting.
Something to watch out. Actually, all the the Zinai lady doesn't really show up so much, but the Naizi, Zinai, and Naiji ladies, it's interesting. I don't know if you know this. It was kind of a little fine detail here, Adymus. Have you noticed that in like stand up, all the Nai ladies, they tend to go more hard. But there's like this newer generation, and even I think maybe an older generation if it was a different medium, but no, I know it now when they're vlogging, they do this cutesy routine. Even the Zinai, I've noticed it's like upbeat, bouncy, and then like they hit hard, but then they kind of like didn't mean it. You know what I mean?
Right. I
wonder what that is.
Huh. That's interesting. I wonder how much that has to do with the medium that they're using.
There seems to be something there because of the shift. I mean, there are definitely those that do in stand-up as well, but overall they tend to take a more harder approach.
Vlogging in general tends to be light and upbeat. That's why you know, the ad serves are so effective. I want to use the word at it, just because, you know, they're really like light, quick with like fast jump cuts. You know,
yeah, it's interesting is that the Mojos that aren't ad serves really seem to be successful when they imitate that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that seems to be the winning strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have a Zenai, Louisa Omelian. Is she one you know, or she?
I only know a little. I did kind of a very fast scanning of about all the female comedians I could find that we haven't already read yet. So a lot of these I've seen maybe around one, maybe two clips on. I've seen like one clip on her. I'm not super familiar with her though.
Okay. But can you see perhaps, I think it's easy in the right photo, that real kind of localized Jai emoting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's trickier on the left, but you can still see it. It's got a nice beaming smile.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, a Ziny for you.
Oh, cool.
Leo Allen. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's funny.
Leo Allen. Is he stand-up or has he done other things? He kind of looks familiar to me.
I think where I saw him, he may do stand-up, but I think he was on one of those shows, not Attack of the Show, one of those kind of shows, one of those ad serby kind of quippy shows.
Mm-hmm.
So he's comedic, but he might do like a show on something where he's funny, as opposed to say stand-up or strictly vlogging comedy. But
yeah.
All right, so boom, get some nice cerebral action here. 7. Certainly action of an IG. And again, she's doing, you see in her mouth, can you see her kind of like holding back her dominance?
Uh-huh.
It looks kind of, both of them are actually rather strange.
Yeah.
But I think although we know her to be less probably effective maybe this way overall, I think she probably is received better. These little awkward mannerisms, I think a lot of guys like when girls are seemingly awkward or not control. Number 8, Paula Bell. Where she's from? She looks familiar.
Did I submit her?
No, I think she's.
I don't think I did. Yeah.
All right, but anyway, no Nicey for your world, Nicey lady. 9. Jackie Fabulous, get a little G-Vi action in there.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, classic. It is so interesting how that it's in the Black community, but also in the Latin community. There's several Latin G-Vi female comedians as well, but I can't think of a Caucasian.
It's consistently people of color. That's interesting. It's hard for me to speculate on why that is.
Either. I'm not sure if that's like the culture promotes that, say, archetype or prototype more, or that's what people are willing to accept in the offering the jobs. Number 10, Christina Hutchinson, another IZ lady. She's pretty clear cut, I think. That's like a classic IZ lady to me there.
Yeah, I'd say so.
She was harder for me, but the other IZ ladies have helped.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she's kind of doing the cute thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is totally awesome. It's interesting because actually on the left is just me. She looks like she's doing more of a stand-up thing there. She just looks a little more Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like she's doing like sparkly V here on the right. On the left, she's giving some nice side eye.
Yeah, you see much more cagey on the left.
All righty. We want to get done here pretty soon, but I only have a few more. Actually, this helps a lot.
What's that?
This helps a lot because having you to do this with and be excited about it, it's making me like really want to like figure this bubble out and to like you and me were like we're gonna crack this thing. A big Rubik's cube. I don't know if you know her. What's her name? Was it A Different World? I think it's A Different World. A Nizy lady, petite. See if I can figure that out.
Different World?
It was a sitcom, like the 80s or 90s.
I'm I'm not really big into 80s and 90s sitcoms, so I'm not sure if I can be of help.
No, no problem. But here, I got it. I got it. Jasmine Guy. Who she is?
I will in a second.
The picture on the left reminds me a lot of Jasmine Guy.
Okay, yeah.
That smile.
Yeah, I see. Oh, I see exactly what you're saying. Kind of a strained smile.
It is.
Localized, yeah.
It's still kind of endearing.
I
like it. All right. 13, Jessica Lowe. Was she one you sent?
Jessica Lowe. Let me check. I don't think so. I don't have a Jessica Lowe here.
There is another Nizy lady. There you go, world. Enjoy. Trying to really dial in here. That sounds funny. There's little things like emoji reading. Demas, you have these. It's just because of the, I guess, life experiences and what data you've seen. Is that I think I've seen more dark-haired Nizy ladies. So it's good to see the blonde ones because it helps me expand. For some reason, I see the blonde, I don't immediately think Nizy. Vice versa. Maybe it's because of like all the journalists. I see blonde Zinai.
Exactly. Yeah. I heard something about that where I can't remember who it was, but someone called Fox News on why they only hire blonde journalists, and then some of the journalists defend themselves by saying it's not that they hire blonde journalists, it's that when we get hired, we dye our hair blonde.
Oh, nice. There you go. All right, let me see. I might have one more for you here, Adymus. Let's see. There is 14. Zenai, Sabrina Matthews. She was pretty straightforward to me.
She's pretty clear cut, yeah.
All right, boom. 14 Mojos revealed. Bam. All right, 17-minute mark. We're switching over to chess. Let's see, Adymus. And there's some interesting developments in the chess world.
Recent developments? Or are we talking about bubble expansion?
The bubble, the expansion, yeah.
Okay.
I think in the last ebook that was out, there was maybe, I don't know, like a dozen chess. It was very small. Now I think we're up to like 60. So that's getting serious. So I think we keep working on it. We'll find 100. Chess, I'm having to do a lot of photo reading. But I believe I'm seeing them fairly clearly on some of them. Some are trickier, and I'm going to wait on those.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so here's the first kind of thing.
Interesting. Male Zenai. Cool.
Male Zenai. Now they're a smaller percentage, it seems like, when I've been seeing so far than the Zinai male, but it does seem like when you go deeper into it, more of them pop up.
Yeah.
So, interesting. This guy, Zinai, I've seen several scientists that helped me with him. He was a bit trickier because of the wideness of his face.
Kind of a round face.
Yeah.
Yeah. A kind of face that might be more associated with like Nizai or something.
Exactly. The hands with him helped a bit, which is why that one picture on the right, I made sure to get a hand shot in there.
Yeah, actually, the one on the right, even with the face, he looks much longer.
Yeah.
You know.
3. Okay. Another broad-faced Zinai. This has really helped expanding our Zinai. And then right here, a Zenai lady. So another one of those.
Oh, I've seen her before.
Have you? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So she looked pretty straightforward to me.
Yeah.
Okay, this guy, he looks classic Zinai. Sergei Tivyakov.
Yeah, definitely classic Zinai. Like one of the ones you'd see out of the science bubble or something.
Right. Now, one thing I've noticed is that there's like a health thing that has a bit of a spectrum with the Zinai, for example, because Zinai are most prevalent in this bubble, is I think it's probably because chess is such a sedentary craft. It seems like some of them keep their classic Zinai lines, even when they've been playing chess for a long time, even when they're older. And other ones, even quite young, you know what I mean? They have that, I've been playing, video games, eating Twinkies for a while. they're harder. They get much more rounder a face.
Right.
Digits get rounder.
Mm-hmm.
It's curious. I was wondering if you think perhaps I'm just speculating here. Is that like making a conscious choice? I have two ideas. I don't know if either ones are right, but I was wondering, is it having a conscious choice to continue to exercise, to walk? Like maybe some chess people, they go and eat stuff in between their matches, and that's how they like have a rhythm break.
Mm-hmm.
And other Ziny, they go for walks. And so that's how they do a rhythm break. And so that's why they keep, the more ectomorphic form, even when they've, been playing this sedentary thing for years. My other idea is maybe it's stress. Maybe if you're winning chess, you eat better, because after you win the chess match, you're like all euphoric, like just doing, like a DJing set. So you got to rush. You don't really feel like eating. But if you lose, you might want to commiserate with some naughty food.
Yeah. I actually once heard Alexandra Kostyuk, Xeni chess player, once claim that training in chess itself actually helps you like burn calories and lose weight. And like she cited a scientific study that actually kind of exercising brain power actually burns calories.
I would think that'd be true.
Yeah.
Yes. That makes total sense to me. So I'm wondering where the weight comes in then from.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because I'm not so sure if even a Ziny that like sits around and eats instead of exercising would necessarily get more round. Like they might still just keep the ectomorphic body type. Like I exercise more now, but when I wasn't before, I was still skinny. So yeah.
Interesting. One thing I'll just note, and this is very preliminary, but I think I might be seeing something, is it does seem like, this may seem obvious, but I'm going to specifically note it because it's chess. It seems like there's a correlation with clarity of their eyes, that the leaner Ziny in the chess ones, the ones that seem to maintain leanness throughout their career, when I see pictures of them, they have a more clear-eyed thing, where sometimes there's a bit more of a foggy, sleepy look with the heavier one.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, compared to the last one that you said posted and noted that we're getting more used to the different kinds of Ziny looks. He actually had this more kind of sleepy-eyed look.
All right, so this big part of bubble reading is trying to like figure out these trends while not trying to say what they are, just sort of tease them out. All right, so this guy, pretty classic Ziny. That's something that always strikes me about the Ziny, is they have what I call a sweet mouth as compared to the Zhai. It's, even though it doesn't move a lot out of the localized area, it's very aware of what it's doing. It has a very distinct look to have those sheer cheeks, but then a emoting that is quite aware of what it's projecting. Let's see. This guy. Okay, he's another pretty classic Ziny, although he has that sort of narrower chin that can throw off a little bit. Sometimes that narrower chin can look a little more hunter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because like obviously, like on the picture on the left, his eyes look clearly dancing. But if you were like to ignore those, the sort of narrowing of the jaw kind of highlights the shades with Vaiji a bit.
Yeah. Or maybe like Nizy or something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, this guy, bam, that is Ziny Classico. That's an awesome name, by the way.
Maxime, yeah.
Did I say it, Maxime?
I think so.
That sounds like Maxime Vachier Lagrave. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, this guy, the media was really pushing the limits of what I like to go for, but he just really popped me as a Ziny. The one that It looks classic. And some of the one on the left reminds me a little bit of Lance Burton.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, long, towery, dancing eyes.
This is a good one here. Because he looks so classically Zine, this guy Loke, except the widening of the cheeks.
Yeah.
If I was like, this would be a good example to show to people like, okay, even though they may have wider cheeks, this is not a Nizai, because it still has that essence elongation, even though his cheeks aren't necessarily that elongated.
Also, that mouth, that's much more small and localized. Like, that's not a Cheshire Cat mouth.
No. All right. Pretty classic here. Although, one thing I would say about him is he's one that could throw people for a Vaiji. He's very stern looking. But the eyes are too dancing. On the right picture, the eyes are too dancing. On the left picture, that it's too around the mouth. It's too localized.
Well, that's kind of the mazoot of chess players that you have to get used to and let it wash over you. Kind of like the mazoot of MMA fighters.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's a lot of V and a lot of Zai if they're Durams, but you know,
here's sort
in
of
general,
flat, hard look. He reflects. Is that? Am I right? It seems like they're keeping their face sort of like unreadable while kind of looking at you hard or dismissively. Because he does look formidable.
Yeah.
I guess it has evolved with the sport, so that's probably the winning combo. I imagine for the few values-based people, that must be very challenging to keep it suppressed like that.
Yeah.
For that long. All right, another classic Zine. Second, just going to invite Mitchell real quick. Cool. All right, so any more? There might be one more. Two more. Zenai. Bam. Now the interesting about the flat, the other Zenai ladies you saw were doing a more flat expression. She looks a little more like, I don't know, a business CEO or something.
Yeah, she does. She's a bit more open-faced. Which isn't to say others aren't, because I mean, in general, the Xena are objective, so they're more open-faced. But the chess-playing Xena have a lot of development of their subjective powers, so they often look more withdrawn. This one, actually, she looks more engaging. I'm going to use that word. She looks more engaging, engaged.
Definitely. And last one. Boom. Zine. Media was a little scant there, but I think I'm seeing classic Zine, particularly just going with the picture on the right. I wish I had a better picture of the one on the left. I'll keep looking for him. But that way of holding the brow, it's interesting. I'm sure there's a correlation with the Vez towers, but I'm most familiar with the Nez towers. The Zine and Shiny both do that long, loose covering of the eye. Like when they're thinking, you'll do that sometimes. You'll put your hand like that, and you also do this thing where you'll take one of the fingers and slightly knead your head, slightly rub it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so bam, there we go.
Interesting that male and female chess players are consistently her Hamzanez.
Right, that is interesting.
There seem to, though, be more female, at least from what we've read so far, there seem to be more female Zine chess players than male Xenai chess players.
Yeah, I do believe one of the people I'll show you next time we get together, I wanted to look at her a bit more to make sure, but I think there may be a Zine lady in the mix I have now. But I have, I think, maybe 3 or 4, maybe a little more Xenai dudes. So, but like I said, the chess bubble, this part of also bubble reading, is we have to get our head around the best way to get the media. So you've been watching more of it, so you probably have a better understanding of where they put out their media. Best. I was just going off of, pretty much just YouTube and Google images. How do you watch them or get?
I've kind of just done some scanning of who's out there, and a lot of them do have interview footage, especially the top-ranked grandmasters.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll send you a list, Adymus, of the 60-some people I have in chess. And then if there's anyone that you know of that we don't have, just let me know, and that can be something we jump on next time.
Okay.
Sound good? All right. While we are waiting for Mitchell to come on, you don't mind something real quick is I have someone to confirm. I think I may have found another Zine. Do you know the show You, Me, and the Apocalypse?
No.
But it's a comedy. I don't know if it's its first season, maybe it's the second season. But there's a few leads. One of them is Jenna Fisher from The Office, but another one of the main characters is someone I've not seen before. His name is Mathew Baynton, Baynton.
Mathew Baynton. That name doesn't really ring a bell. Let me see.
I've never seen him in anything, so he's, I think, new on the scene.
Oh, I have seen him before. Oh, I've seen this guy.
Oh, really? What do you see him in?
There's actually a show that I really like that I tried to show you and Jilene, but we couldn't find it anywhere, called Spy. And he plays as the main character's best friend.
Right.
Who's kind of, I don't want to say goofy, but a little off, a little bit weird. Works in like an electronics store.
When I saw the show, I only saw one episode so far, but his character was the one that grabbed me the most. I found him the most engaging. And he does a really good job because he plays himself. Well, he plays one character. I guess his main role is a nice guy who gets caught in over his head with all the crazy shenanigans. But then part of those shenanigans is his evil twin, which he also plays.
Oh, cool.
All right, do you want to put him in real quick so you can read him? We'll call it a day.
Mathew Baynton?
Yeah, can you get an interview real quick?
Okay.
And then we'll switch over to Mitchell. Thanks, James. This is great. I think we had a good amount of content for the time. It seemed to fit good.
Interview.
Hey, Mitchell.
Sounds like Mitchell's here. Hey, hey Mitchell.
So we're just going to do a quick, we're finishing up Adymus. We're going to do a quick confirmation of this guy I saw from a new show who may be a Zine.
Okay.
It's called Me, You, and the Apocalypse. There's about 4 or 5. But this guy here is my favorite.
And that's what is really fun about it. It's like how many shows do.
Something about this interview, he's reminding me of one of the more recent Doctor Who. Matt Smith? It's good G.
Really tragic and very moving stuff in there as well, a lot of pathos. And a crazy array of different characters and stories. And what?
One thing's interesting though, Adymus, from like the MMA fighters, I can see the shades of IG. He does have that the tighter tensioning of the G than those who have G with Nai.
That is really cool. It goes to the Aprax as well.
Yeah.
You know, I read it faster than I think I've read anything because you just want to know what happens next.
All right, I think, boom, Zine, what do you say, Adymus?
Can possibly be related in any way. And as the show goes on, these stories all start to come together, and you're like, I see, that's what's going on. So, you know, you've got a nun and a priest and a...
He has really good G, but you can still feel that calming tower energy. He's cool.
White supremacist who she drags along with her, and a bank manager.
All right. So, go ahead and call that one, Adymus. You see it? Bam. Another Zine added. Sweet. All right, Adymus, thank you very, very much, and we will pick up on this next time. I have a list to send you, and we'll go from there. If you can find me more comedians, that'd be great, too.
Cool.
All right, have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
See you, Adymus.
All righty. So glad to have you here, Mitchell. We'll do the same thing I did with 10. All right. So first, we will do introductions, Mojo, name and rank, and we'll talk a bit about what you and I will be doing together overall, and then we'll get into the two main topics. All right. I am Nai Coach, a level 53 practitioner in the Podler program.
All right. I am Naiji Mitchell. I don't know my exact level, but should I figure that out right now?
I'll tell you what, that'll be something for next time. So next time,
I totally forgot about that. I remember now that you just asked me, I remember you asked us to do that.
No worries.
And there's a few things I haven't figured out. Mojo reading I should know, and track 2 and stuff, but there might just on the track 3 I think there's still some stuff.
Do you have an estimate?
Yeah, probably. Mojo reading I know is 10. Voicing is 1. I'm getting closer to. And track 3, you posted something recently in track where you gave us all our levels. Maybe that was 4.
Track 5, I think. Yeah.
Or 5. Yeah, that was. Yeah, right. 4 is outreach ops. That I probably don't have any levels in.
So you get a chance, just go ahead and add up what those are. Make sure you also get your credit for the ebook stuff you did.
Exactly. That's the main thing, and that's why I don't know.
Okay, cool. So everyone, me and Mitchell are going to be working on some bubbles together. And it's really awesome because this gives us more power, and you need as much processing power as you can get. So as a part of this, I'm going to be mentoring Mitchell in Mojo reading and so forth, and Mojo journalism, but also particularly the craft of bubble reading, mass reading. And it's a special kind of reading that you have to do certain things with, but can have some really great payouts. So with mass reading, there is the issue, as I mentioned already, with Adymus, that there's the large volume that can wear you down. There is also the trends. When you are figuring out what the story of the bubble is, it weighs on you more than just any individual sample.
I know that one from just from the quizzes and stuff. It gets me from time to time where either I get sucked into a trend or, sometimes almost it's the opposite. Like I'm worried I just think something is a way because of a trend, but really it actually is. It's just another factor there that you have to kind of pay attention to.
Now the upside is, besides just you get to learn about the bubble and have the data, is there are some power perks that can come with it. One of them is that the deeper you get into a bubble, your reading instrument is getting more focused on, kind of like if you're a hunter and you've been hunting a bunch of stuff, variety, that's cool. That's normal Mojo reading. But every now and then it's interesting to spend a season just fishing. When that happens, you'll kind of let your other Mojo reading kind of go to the background a little bit, but that frees up processing power to do fine weighings in this bubble. For example, in STEM, we're going to see a lot of Naiji, Nizai, and Zai-Ni and get really good at separating those two. So the upside is overall leveling up, but in the instance when you're hot, like while me and Mitchell are doing this, during the months that we're doing this, we're geeking out on it together, we're going to be geared up. We'll have more processing power, and you can therefore read faster than you normally would, given an open terrain, and you can read with less media. Now on that, it's important to go with lowest hanging fruit and then unlock what it has to show you, and then keep hitting low hanging fruit and let the bubble just unfurl.
Yeah.
Tease out the trends, just let it be what it's going to be. It's very tempting to go to the most interesting to use samples and go right for them.
That's so horrible in STEM because in STEM there's so many samples, and I've experienced this trying to make my quizzes. There's a lot of people I want to read that either they have no media or like there's very little, and I want to put them in there, but I just can't justify it because I think it's not going to work. So I try to find ones that have decent media, but
I appreciate that. But just on that, what we'll be going for doesn't mean we can get them. But when doing this kind of reading together, we will take anything that has 2 solid picks, even without video.
Okay.
Normally don't do that, but that's what I'm saying. That's one of the special perks we can do here. Upside is, the payment is we'll have to spend some time working this bubble, layer, and let things just tease out. All right. So any questions before we get into it?
No.
All right. Do you have a preference if we start with tennis or STEM?
I guess not.
Okay.
I can do either one.
probably you'll want to chat more about STEM, maybe.
Oh, that's more what I'm into now, probably. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with the tennis quick, but I do want to get into the tennis, and I
love tennis. Though.
Exactly, your fondness for it makes it like, ooh, this is really cool and interesting. I want to get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Get these open. Those ones I was using with Adymus. All right, here we go. Tennis. And also, a lot of things may not be too surprising, although there'll be a few.
Interesting. Yeah, there are at tennis. There's like a lot of ad cracks, and then there's like every once in a while some weird ones that just show up.
Pop up. All right, so can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, so there we go. First one, Robert Batista. He looks pretty classic.
Yeah, we didn't. I think we didn't have him before. So there's his IV.
I think he was listed as limited media, but I was able to go deeper now.
Okay. Yeah. Some of them, I mean, like you said, like a lot of these bubbles, they're just getting more and more media. We're like in the media age now. Everyone needs it.
All right. Zyvi, Denisa Alatova. Now with her, she's a good, like, to me, a transition sample because she's not what I call like a classic Zyvi. Like
ovalish.
It's a little more, her waist is face a little wider necessarily than some towers. But for me, I can still strongly see the energetic elongation and the localization of the G. So she's like, for me, a good sample to like tell when I'm seeing a broad face as IV, because she still looks fairly IV to me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing the elongation, the energy near the mouth, and not at all like as the real perky eyes you see with like a V's eye, something like that.
Calmer eyed. Next up. Another IV. Now this IV is one that his cheeks pop out to me. They look quite sheer and localized. But I think you know what I'm talking about, Mitchell. There's actually a fairly large swath of these feral looking IV.
Yeah.
So band action and so forth. You know what I mean? It can look kind of like a Nige if you don't look closer.
Mm-hmm. I know you've been kind of going back and forth with them for some samples. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good transition sample for me because he looks pretty classically Zyv with that much sheer cheek and localized emoting, but he's got the feral things. Like, aha, so that's what it looks like on you. You know, like, so he's like.
It's interesting to see that shades things though, and like you said, you know, with the mouth, like you were talking about with the adserbs earlier, the adserbs have similar mouths to the Vygie. The Zyv have a similar, even though they have it sheer, they have the Nige mouth.
Yeah, and it isn't as much of an issue in, say, chess because there aren't really the other Mojo between the Zai knee, for example, is usually like a Nige when there's there at all. So you don't see the Vygie or knees eye there as much. But when we do STEM, that will be a biggie because they do show. And actually, the Vygie, when we get into chemistry and so forth and economics, they do show up there.
Yeah, like history of science.
All right, here's another one, bit more broad face. Now with her, the thing I had to kind of look through is on the right. She looks a little bit like some of the Z-Vi soccer player ladies.
I totally see what you mean. There's like a kind of I don't know what to call it. Like a it's a wide. The face is kind of wide and more boxish and like a kind of I don't know. The mouth is like puggish. I don't know.
Yeah, I know she's a little pugnacious looking.
Yeah.
I know you mean her sheerness. It looks a little more like amble pugnacious. The larger lower lip probably also contributes.
And that's something that Z alpha seem to have a lot.
All right, another Zyv. Now for her, interesting what she popped for me. I'm curious what you got. She jumped right away to me as Zyv, and I got there because she reminded me of a laser-eyed supermodel. Check the one on the right.
That's a cool connection because I know you were working on this.
Yeah. The way she holds herself is a little more statuesque than some of them.
Yeah, there's some of them like that. They don't go for more of a feral. They go more of like kind of sunshine glamour girl.
Right. All right. Now here, these eyes. And it'll change up a little bit.
Yeah, I see the eyes are quite distinct.
The mouth is wider, bigger, more expressive. And the energy just overall kind of up.
Yeah. Up energy. Still dispassionate, but
yeah. like sort of like playful, dispassionate.
Yeah.
She's another one kind of playful, dispassionate with a VZai.
It's an interesting thing.
One thing is, you know what? I don't say that yet. I'll have to do more data with you. I'm curious. I know that there's strong XIV on both the men and the ladies, but I'm wondering which one has more of other variety.
From what when I did my analysis, like probably about maybe half a year ago, I did like a thread of the top 100 male players. I think the XIV are even more dominant than the males.
Gotcha.
I think there are a few VZI, but the males, it was like overwhelmingly XIV, whereas the females XIV are quite, maybe the most dominant, but not quite that much so.
Okay, and that's what I was thinking. Thank you for clarifying me, because I looked at it, I was like, I think this is a trend. There's more VZI ladies than dudes.
Yeah.
But I didn't know for sure.
There are some VZI males that are very good, but it's very, very strongly XIV.
All right, this guy looks pretty classic. XIV, here, localized. And this one, something about, I'm not sure what it is, reminds me a bit of a Zaini, but with the clear eyes. I don't know why, he just looks a little more academic or something, or bookish than some other ones do. That's probably just my perception.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard to explain these things sometimes. Because that might not even be the way to put it, really. Because, I mean, he might not be that bookish,
Right.
but I know what you mean.
All right, XIV.
Has.
Now this one, on the left, she's a little harder to tell that she's not a VZI, except
yeah, I see that.
Still elongated, still a little sleepier in the eyes. The one on the right's pretty straightforward.
Her cheeks are a little puffy on the left.
So he's another one.
Classic.
Yeah, that reminds me something like, he looks like a rugged chess player. And really, I guess in a way, tennis is.
It kind of is in a way. It's like a physical.
Now with her, she, I had to look to make sure she wasn't Naiji. She has a good amount of cunning. Like the way she's looking, the right picture, she's really looking. Overall, I think it's still more chilly and passive, but there's a good amount of Nai staring at me.
Yeah, and even like G in the left picture, like she's kind of a pretty full smile, but it seems like it's like her eyes crinkle a little bit, but that's not necessarily the emotive going. Right. That's just like the way the face crinkles. I think everyone can have that like crinkles in their eyes, but the emoting really does seem to stop in that line.
And yeah, you're right. That emoting was tricky. The thing that really kind of highlights is that you have to separate each of the zones and then see what's going on in that zone, because her cheek zone has like pretty much no movement. But if you look at her face, she actually has, as far as zones, not a lot of flesh on the cheeks. Look how much space, how much real estate is in the mouth and the forehead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when our mouth moves, it takes up a lot of the face, but it doesn't take up a lot of the cheeks. That's the critical difference.
Yeah. I'm sure there's any similar things in modeling.
Yeah. That's a tricky bubble.
Style.
Everyone's holding their face impassive. It's interesting here because a lot of them, they do more like an athletic, aggressive, not aggressive, but like a physical effort. When the modeling's like, I don't move. If I move, I wrinkle. Wrinkles are bad.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Pretty straightforward on her, I think.
Yeah.
The one thing that I had to look at a little bit is she looks pretty localized, but she's projecting a good amount of it. So the brightness of it, as a maneuver, you look past like, oh, that's a localized G producing that maneuver. But her localized G is putting out quite like a sunshiny energy.
Yes. It's something a lot of them seem to go for.
Pretty straightforward, I think. Do you know him?
I don't actually. I'm not familiar with him. I'm familiar with some of the other ones though that we've seen so far.
And this might be the last one. All right, so for me, again, on the left, it was pretty straightforward. On the right, it looks like he's, I don't know, retaining more water that day or something. His face is fuller, a little harder to see, but still sleepy.
Yeah.
It's just not up enough to be a VZI. It's not penetrating enough to be an IG. All right, boom. I think that is it for tennis. All right, so Next up, STEM. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so that is at 50.
Yeah, I was worried at the media of some of the samples I sent you, so hopefully you were able to make too.
I did the best I could, and I'll keep working on it. So let me show you what I got so far. All right, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so Zine. One thing I was covering, actually, like I did a few people in economic sciences. I wanted to talk to you about that. Is that right? I was putting economic science as part of STEM.
I'm sure it's debatable. I think there
Right.
might be some people who would say like, "Oh no, it's not." But like, if it's a science in some way, you know what? Economics relates a lot to math too.
Right.
There's a lot of like branches of economics that relate to math, like social choice theory and decision theory, and you could definitely consider those branches of mathematics.
Cool. So that's kind of what I went with. I wanted to
Probability.
talk about that.
Yeah. So I think it's fair to include economics.
This guy, Nizai, bam. That's pretty straightforward. He has a more cherubic face.
Yes.
Now,
Sometimes the tricky thing is not even as much the designy, but even distinguishing it from Nijai.
They do show up. Do you know him, this guy?
I don't. Not familiar with him.
Is your, in STEM, are you most familiar with mathematicians?
That's a good question.
Seems like you have interest in all of it. I was curious if you had a particular.
Yeah, right now I'm probably maybe more familiar with mathematicians, but I know a few physicists and economists, and
Okay.
yeah, not so many chemists.
Okay, so I have this is why I want to make sure I talk to you about the economic science, is because there is an interesting trend in these Nobel Prize winners, Mitchell.
Mhm.
When it's physics, it tends to be the adverbs and some Naiji.
Right.
The Vaiji does not show up much.
Yeah.
However, when it goes to chemistry and medicine Nobel Prize winners, the Vaiji shows up quite a bit. The adverbs still do, but the Vaiji show up more. And then in economic sciences, the big player is this guy,
YZ.
Vaiji. The Vaiji still show up there, probably next most, and then the adverbs after that. The Naiji I've not seen so far in economic sciences.
Now, I know YZ did. I think I was pretty sure that they should have been STEM bit. There's a few in physics too. Not so many that win Nobel Prizes, but that work as physicists. Like we had one that Jailin requested a while ago. That's like worked for an intelligence agency, and he was a big physicist at MIT for a while. And that kind of threw me, actually. I was like kind of surprised that it was YZ, but I think there are more. And there's like Sally Ride, a lot of these astronauts who had physics training.
That can't be in a vacuum. It's not like they're the only YZ that had that kind of strong interest. Because, I mean, to be an astronaut, that's pretty boss.
Yeah. YZ and ZI seem to really do that a lot.
All right. So we're seeing a few more of these YZ. Next up, here you go. Another one.
That's interesting. Yeah, but I didn't know there were YZ Nobel Prize in economics.
Yeah.
Often, like, we'll learn about these STEM samples, and a lot of times I go read about them afterwards. Even if I'm not familiar with them, I'm often interested in what they do.
That's cool. Yeah, and anything you want to throw in as far as tidbits, Mitchell, please do. This is great. Just kind of like having you sort of help tour me through it. I'll kind of show the mojos, and you kind of tell me who the people are, and we'll figure the trends out together.
That's good.
All right, boom, chemistry. Chemistry is where it gets kind of like a mixture. This one's a Zine.
It's got a pretty wrinkly face.
Yeah.
But, the emotions, like the cheeks thing, I see it. I see the cheeks, like there's almost nothing there.
No.
Like, where there's nothing.
It's funny, the thing you mentioned before, you see around his mouth, nothing in the cheeks, and then just crinkling.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's like no connection between the mouth moving and crinkling across the cheek. With values-based, you'll see it. The mouth into the lip area, the cheek area, and then it blends into the crinkling. But here it's like they're two separate things. The crinkling of the eyes and the motion of the mouth. Cool. One thing I've noticed though, since you mentioned it, on the crinkling, he does look a little more Vaiji, although I believe he is a Zine, is that the chemistry adverbs do look a little more
Vi.
Yeah, a little more Vi.
I can see that. And a lot of people talk about that because in chemistry, and that's one of the big differences, I think, in physics and chemistry as far as what they're doing. Chemistry is there's a lot more memorization and a lot more cataloging, where in physics there's a lot more like working things through from first principles.
Gotcha.
So that's one that, like Nijai Michael Ataya, mathematician of my that was on my quiz recently. He was originally going to study chemistry, but he made some comment about how he really didn't like the memorization and stuff, so he ended up in mathematics for that reason.
Makes sense.
Although, I mean, obviously, I know Mojos can do that very well.
Right, but I know for the Nye, for example, Nye G, they show up most on the Nobel Prizes with like math and physicsy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even when it just drifts into chemistry and medicine, they drop off pretty much. And then, when we get into the economics, the ad service drop off a bit too. The VIZ come on strong so far. But like I said, we're just getting into it. All right, so keep going. Next up, on the VIZ, Theodore Schultz. Now
There's quite a few.
Yeah, and pretty much all in economic science. VIZ so
I
far.
can see why they'd be good at that.
And they definitely are big in banking and so forth from what we've seen of them.
I know there was a VIZ mathematician on one of my quizzes.
Now here again is a Ziny in chemistry. He looks a little more a little more kind of like on point.
Mm-hmm. A lot uptight even.
Yeah.
But you can see the knee playfulness and the.
Yeah, but he's pinched. He has pinched in a bit. You can see it, and then and habitually as well. That the way the eyes are set, and also the set of the mouth tensioning, looks like it's kind of a habitual thing. All right, boom. Here's a nice back-to-back because we have an Asian Ziny.
Asian
Nizai, chemistry.
Yeah, his face is big. Almost looks, but yeah, I see the difference.
And things interesting about him is he actually has more cheek area. So
that's what I mean. Like his face he's a large face, so I almost think like it's long.
And specifically, if you remember I talked about before, if you look at the size of his forehead and the mouth area combined to the cheek area, he's got a lot of cheek real estate going on. If it's up too much, as far as I can tell, he looks too bright.
It looks like someone I know who I suspect is a Nizai.
All right, another VIZ, Christopher Sims, economics. He looks like several of the kind of military VIZ I've seen.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. He looks like way more, I don't know, a really woody quality. It's like a dial pin.
What else? No, last one. No, you got the last one. So, got a few more. You got like 14 total. All right, boom. Old timer.
Yeah.
Physics, Ziny, pretty classic. I was glad to get him.
Like he looks a little bit less pinched than the economics.
Yeah, he does. All right, I think these might be the last ones here. All right, so Nizai. Now with him is interesting. He has for a Nizai, at least in the right picture, a bit more of a narrowed face. But the brightness in the eyes kind of gives it away. And you can see him with a Cheshire cat on the left because he's smiling more. On the right, I think Bryce, on a general neutral face, he doesn't have the biggest mouth.
Yeah, he does have a small mouth. And not a ton of mouth energy either. Like that's another thing, like Ziny. It's difficult to explain beyond that.
No, I don't mean, but I think that actually might have to do with the being in these fields, the math-heavy fields, it seems like it's the most natural fit for Ziny. Even the Nizai look like they have on a considerable amount of Zai.
Yeah.
In order to be, super effective in this field.
Exactly. Yeah. From what I've seen, like looking at like math directories and stuff like that, I suspect that there's a lot of Ziny. I wouldn't be not surprised if they were the most dominant.
All right, and so you got one in physiology and medicine, and you will see the VIG showing up quite a bit, although ad service there as well. Now he looks sparkly to me. A lot of the medical VIG have a lot of Ziny.
Yeah, like good, like healthy knee. Like
yeah,
like they're not like crazy, but that's just more like they're have a bright openness to them, open-minded.
I don't know if all of them are gonna be like this, but I think probably the ones that get Nobel Prizes, I'm sure that probably has something to do with like some sort of invention or breakthrough. And the Baiji we've seen do actually have a strong penchant for invention.
Yeah, even like in business, we've seen some
Yeah.
like Baiji and Baizi. Maybe we would have thought were interpreters before.
All right. Let's see if there's any more. Kenneth Wilson. he's pretty more, I think, more straightforward. He actually looks a little bit like, especially on the left, he looks like one of those comedians.
Yeah, he is pretty classic.
So I'll be going more and more through this, so I'll get more people that you know. We're just kind of trying to clear it out in general. I think right now, Mitchell, as far as samples to look into, and a lot of them in red, but there's still a bunch to go. I think we have just over 500 for STEM. I think if we push it deep into STEM, I think we can clear 1,000. Tennis, we'll do the best we can.
Yeah,
There's not as much there. There's less.
but it's good mojos that we need.
It is, and so I think everything we can get there will be great. I don't know how big the numbers will get, but I think STEM we can flip 1,000.
There's a lot of STEM going on. It's hard to be familiar with all of STEM.
Yeah.
These days.
and now the media is getting to where even these kind of more reclusive academic science people are on the web.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one more. Last guy. The Baiji, and this one's from chemistry.
Yeah.
I don't have anything yet, but over time, it'd be interesting to see kind of differences between, because the Baiji show up in economics, chemistry, and medicine. Interesting to see like how it affects them.
Yeah, he looks like he has less eye.
He does. He does. And Vi, not necessarily in a bad way, but because they chemistry, but his Vi is quite strong. I can feel his piercing, really piercing quality, but not in a bad way. Just very strongly piercing.
Getting all those details is very, very important in chemistry, and I'm sure it's very, very important in medicine.
Definitely. All right. So that is what we have for today. So going forward, if you just go ahead and keep sending me anyone from STEM that you think we can get 2 decent pictures of, we'll just keep adding them to the list and pulling out low-hanging.
All right. Yeah, I did send you a few.
I grabbed them. They're all been, everything you sent me, I have incorporated, and I will be as I go through. But I'm going for the lowest hanging fruit first.
Sounds good, and it's good to know that even just 2 pictures is good enough. That might change my mind about some of these samples.
Cool. All right. Anything before we sign off?
I don't have anything.
All right. Cool. That was a great session, and 30 minutes seemed like a nice, good section of time for the material recovery.
Yeah. I can see how the 2 pictures would be good, because like it feels like as you go through the collage, like that's kind of the ritual. You have 2 pictures, so you're kind of used to looking at that in that setting, and you can. It pops more than if you were just doing a random Mojo reading quiz that you had with 2 pictures with a bunch of samples and all kinds of other fields. You wouldn't necessarily feel very confident.
All right, so I look forward to what you have, and see you on Sunday.
All right.
Cool. Thank you very much. That's great.
Thanks.
And so we're doing this ongoing, if that's cool. Not necessarily every week, but whenever you have time, it'd be fun to kind of do this little half-hour sessions.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. All right. Take care.
You too.